Lily Urmann is the program coordinator at Arizona State University Biomimicry Center, where she helped design and implement one of the world's first undergraduate certificates in biomimicry and now oversees this unique program. She is a master's in biomimicry at ASU and received her undergraduate degree in environmental studies from UC Santa Cruz. Lily's ultimate passion lies in the intersection of biomimicry, experimental education, and engaging change agents in this exciting field. Thank you so much for joining us, Lily, and I think we're ready whenever you are for what you want to share.
Great, thanks so much for having me. I'm super stoked to be here. I'm gonna jump right in and talk a little bit about ASU and the programs we have. So I'm gonna share my screen and do a little presentation, and then I'll save some time for some Q&As after. Can everyone see this okay?
Yes.
Great. So Arizona State University is in Tempe, Arizona, and it's finally starting to cool down here. So we had a long, hot summer, and that's not uncommon. But we do have really nice winters. So the next, 6 months are going to be really mild, and that's the time to go outside and explore nature and do all that fun stuff. We have two biomimicry programs here at ASU. We have an undergraduate certificate program, which is actually one of two in the world. It just started in fall of 2019. And then we have two kind of graduate level programs, one an online master's degree, which is what I graduated from in May. And then we have an online graduate certificate program. I'm gonna focus more on the undergraduate certificate because that's what I oversee and run, but I also have a lot of information on the master's and graduate certificate. So feel free to ask questions about that at the end. I'll save some time for that. We have a bunch of information on our website at biomimicry.asu.edu, some cool testimonials, some information about all the programs, how to enroll, a lot of FAQ pages where you can actually answer a lot of those initial questions you may have. So definitely check that out too if you're interested. This is me. I graduated in May. I didn't get to walk or anything. This year's obviously been radically different than the past years. So instead I went out with my friend and took some pictures out in the desert, which was really fun. Put the cap and gown on and felt more like it was completed. So I just thought I'd include that. We got to celebrate, celebrate the little wins too. So the ASU charter, I just thought I'd start with this. It's a good place to start. Really inclusive university. It's a comprehensive public research university measured not by whom it excludes, but by whom it includes and how they succeed, advancing research and discovery of public value and assuming fundamental responsibility for the economic, social, culture, and overall health of community it serves. And ASU is, oh, I missed one of the pages, but ASU is one of the largest universities in the US. We have over 100,000 students, and including online students and graduate certificate students, there's a lot of students both on campus and online. They're really making education available and inclusive at new innovative ways, which is really exciting. So I'm gonna talk briefly about kind of the undergraduate program. Like I said, I'm gonna focus on that. We also have a really cool, exciting new space called Nature Maker. It's like a collaboration of like a maker space and a nature inspired like natural history artifact collection, which is really cool. So I'm just gonna plug that also because it's a cool resource we have on campus. And then I'll save most of the time at the end. Just to confirm, I have 30 minutes, right?
Hi, Lily. We have you here for a 15-minute time.
Okay, so 15 minutes. That's great. So ASU is really innovative. We actually created this US #1 for innovation category in the World News and Report, which is really exciting. So this is our 6th year being the #1 in innovation. And that just means we do a lot of research. We do really cool new programs that are not seen anywhere else and that are kind of pushing the edge on a lot of topics and what's possible, seeing what's possible out there. We also have a lot of patents that are developed there. One of the best graduate schools, and we're pretty high up there for research expenditures too, which is really exciting. So at the Biomimicry Center, which is where I work, it's a space on campus that's actually really unique. And I won't get into this too much, but if you ever are on ASU campus touring or whatever, definitely come by. We'll give you a tour. The entire space was remodeled using biomimetic principles. So, trying to be as sustainable and life-friendly as possible, including, I'll just include one snippet. All the wood here is actually developed using a glue inspired by how blue mussels attach to rock underwater. So really life-friendly glue that's not using any formaldehyde or any dangerous chemicals, and instead they're mimicking how life is doing that in nature and then applying that to a plywood, which is really cool. So it's this beautiful plywood that we use everywhere in the center. So the new undergraduate certificate, I'll just go over some requirements really quick. It's 18 credits, which is actually kind of a lot for a certificate, but the last 2 credits for that, so 6 of those 18 credits, are your elective and capstone. So you take these 4 core classes, which How Nature Works is one of my favorite classes. Instead of asking, it's a biology taught functionally class. So instead of like memorizing the mitochondria of the cell, which can be fun for some people, but maybe not everybody, it's asking, how does nature create color? How does nature protect itself? And it's going through like functionalities and then applying that to your own discipline. And so then, we have these 4 classes, and then you apply that biomimicry knowledge to an elective and capstone in your own discipline. And we have students in the undergraduate certificate from over 11 different fields right now. So we have mathematics and business and architecture and design. It really points to how interdisciplinary the field of biomimicry is, which is really exciting. And so they're all kind of taking these core classes right now, and then they're going to be, graduating and creating these projects that apply what they've learned from the core classes into electives and final projects and theses and all of that stuff. This is one of my favorite pictures. It's like, this is our first class in the biomimicry certificate, and they're at the 3D makerspace. They're learning how to create like a material similar to how coral self-assembles in a really life-friendly way. So it's kind of like a concrete mixture, but instead of being toxic and not, biodegradable, they're using all sustainable materials, and they're learning how to like 3D print this structural element, which is really cool. So a lot of hands-on projects, a lot of group work, which I know can be scary, but you can't do biomimicry alone. And it includes, you got to get together with an engineer and a biologist and a business major and collaborate on some really cool projects. I'm not really going to talk about the graduate programs because we have a lot of information on our website at our FAQ pages under education. But you need a bachelor's degree. We do not require a GRE, which is different than a lot of master's programs. We just need 3 letters of recommendation, your official transcripts, and meaningful responses to the application essay questions. Like, why are you interested in biomimicry? How are you going to apply biomimicry to your discipline? And so I actually highly recommend the graduate program. It's a really unique take on education because they approach how to do work and how you go out in the world and solve problems in a really new way, rethinking the whole system rather than just kind of like plugging into the existing education system and hoping that it's engaging. They've really thought through all of that, which is really exciting. And I can answer questions about that too at the end. So really quick, Nature Maker is this really fun space we have in the center. So you see, if you look through this window on the left, you see the Biomimicry Center. And in the, kind of gallery view, we have this big window that's layered with a bunch of shelves. And those shelves are filled with natural artifacts. If you guys recognize the organism on the right, this is a Venus flower basket. It's a deep sea sponge that has this really beautiful silicone structure. The Gherkin building in London was actually based off of this structure because it's so sound, which is really cool. And there's some other corals. And the idea here is to have students come in and explore nature and be inspired by sustainable design, and then apply that to their own projects they're working on, or perhaps inspiration for some capstone they're working on. We have microscopes and magnifying lenses, and it's a space to kind of just explore these artifacts and explore nature ultimately. We have that information on our website as well under Nature Maker. And we have a lot of really cool pictures. And again, if you're on campus touring for whatever reason and you want to come in and check this out, there's open hours, and that is on our website too. And we're happy to give you a tour. There's a lot of really, really cool organisms. If anyone knows what this organism is, they should drop it in the chat. I'll give you a hint. It's structural color. So this organism is a small insect, and it has these beautiful structural color elements on it that give it this gold and green and blue sheen, which is really cool. And this is just kind of, I already said, it includes all of these artifacts and visualization tools and collection of biomimicry and natural history books. So a lot of really cool resources available to ASU students in any discipline. Doesn't matter what field you're in, or even if you're taking the undergraduate certificate, you can come in and check out the resources we have, which is a really cool new opportunity. This just launched the beginning of this year. So obviously it hasn't been used as much this year yet, but we're seeing an increase in traffic, which is really cool. And then here's just my contact. If you have questions about the program in general, just email biomimicry@asu.edu. I am in charge of that email, so it'll be me answering you. We also have an Instagram page where I post cool pictures and stories of biomimicry and information about our program. So check that out too. It's pretty active. And then my personal email is just lurman@asu.edu if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Lily. We really appreciate your time. I'll ask everyone now, if you haven't already, start getting your questions into the chat. We have about 4 minutes left if you have any questions for Lily. I think I'll just start things off here. I mean, we've heard a couple of different speakers from earlier today, finding different paths to biomimicry along the way. I think it's so interesting that you actually went and got your degree in biomimicry. Do you mind sharing for a couple of students at home that are interested in biomimicry how you knew and found that program instead of trying to go to it later on in your career path, that you wanted to do it for your actual degree?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it somewhat brief. So I did my undergraduate at UC Santa Cruz in environmental studies. Ended up going to a conference in California called Bioneers, which is an incredible conference. And somebody was talking, one of their keynote speakers was talking about how a team of high school students developed a self-refrigeration unit based on an insect thermoregulation system. So it didn't require any electricity, and they're able to keep things cool for a few days without any electricity. So think of the possibilities. I mean, this was able to transport vaccines in areas where electricity was, insecure or there wasn't any, and potentially save a lot of lives. And there was a click moment for me, because an environmental studies major can be overwhelming, and it's sometimes frustrating and even somewhat depressing given the current state of our world. And biomimicry offered this really hopeful outlook. It was, a reminder that the solutions for our survival are surrounding us. They're all around us in the natural world. And if we are able to quiet our own cleverness and be able to observe the natural world and then actually be inspired by that and design more sustainable technology, we can live a lot, better and some more sustainable and actually in tune with the natural world, which was a really big moment for me. And so I was really inspired by that. I ended up writing my undergraduate thesis, which is kind of rare to do that, but I decided to write a thesis on integrating biomimicry into higher education. And my Dana Baumeister, who's the director of the center here at ASU, when I enrolled in the master's program, she read it and wanted to start the undergraduate program at ASU. So she hired me to start that. And now it's full circle. We've created this undergraduate program, and I've actually been able to implement biomimicry into higher education. So it was a bit of a step for me to want to take the online master's, but I'm really glad that I ended up doing it. It was a really unique program. I think people have hesitations with online programs, but because it's online, you can do it anywhere with your profession. And the idea is you pair it with a profession and apply biomimicry to what you're doing or what you're interested in. And then you can actually go out in your own area and check out, all of the organisms for the homework assignments. And it's a really, really great program. I highly recommend it.
Great. Thank you so much for that answer. I think it's so interesting getting all these different perspectives, because I feel like depending on who you talk to, the visibility to biomimicry, for a lot of older folks, it took a really long time for that to come around. For me, it wasn't until I was in my master's that I really learned more about biomimicry, doing biology myself. And so I'm so glad that you're here as a platform to get that out to other students who might be interested in that in the future. We actually have one other question for you in about 2 minutes left. Does the ASU program work with companies in the industry for mentors, project development, et cetera, for students in the program?
Yeah, so we have over 50 affiliate faculty across campus in many different disciplines. And as an example, one of our affiliate faculty works in engineering, and he got this big grant from NASA to look at how materials can be both lightweight and strong for space. And so he's working with NASA and different companies to develop that. And we have some students that are able to be internships with him, or they have jobs available. So we're kind of tuned into that network. We don't have anything directly in the center, but we do use that affiliate faculty network and get students involved that way, which is really cool, and pair them potentially with projects that have companies wanting to do biomimicry, which is really exciting.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, Lily. We really appreciate it. If you want to stick around, you're more than welcome to. If you want to hang out in the chat, you can. If you can't, that's all great. But thank you so much again for your presentation. We really appreciate it.